Hi everybody, welcome to our lecture for Chapter 7. You might be looking online and saying, wow, this looks like a different PowerPoint. It's not. The content is exactly the same. I'm having a challenge with kind of the lighting when I'm doing the filming, so from now on I'm going to have to change my PowerPoints to be dark color background with white text, just the way that the room and our structure is set up. So just wanted to show you that. So the information is the same, I promise. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you have the PowerPoint out while you're going through, this is certainly going to be beneficial and it's still going to help you. So as normal, I give you the chapter drivers for the class. We're going to talk about instructional planning, which is a big part of any issues that we have financially in a school system. We're going to talk about instructional budgeting, what that looks like compared to personnel budgeting and facilities budgets. We're going to look at where instructional revenues come from, which I think you're going to find that is a very, very, very important decision in school systems. And then we're going to show what an instructional budget looks like and the types of revenues that come from it. So this chapter is district level. I am only briefly going to cover it because most of the decisions are more instructional oriented. And you've had these in your other courses. I mean, you should have. You should have had more leadership oriented classes that looked at this, and not much ties to finance. So I was very selective in this chapter. I only picked things out that I thought specifically related to finance that might benefit you. So I hope that helps, and I hope that gives you a context as we're going through this chapter. So instructional planning really comes from the people who are the hiring experts who have the vision and mission for the district. They keep in mind what an instructional plan looks like when they're doing that, and they have a formal mission, and they understand what that instructional plan is supposed to look like and what it's supposed to represent. So we've mentioned already the importance of district mission and vision and goals, but that has to be a part of where the district is going in terms of instruction. I really think that relates to a lot of you guys here because a lot of you are at academy-based schools and you're at magnet schools. So you understand that, yeah, this really, really, really matters, and it matters long term as to what the district is going to look like and where the budgeting is going to come from. All of this should be available at any buildings or on any of the school's websites. The school missions and goals should be reflective of that district mission, so those individual sites have to reflect it. There should be similarities, and there should be a mission statement specifically for each school that's tied to the instructional mission of the district. So those should be separate. You should not have one mission statement that works for both the district and each individual building. They should be separate. So when you do planning, the idea really is to use planning to figure out what the structure of schools look like and how it should be interpreted. Budgeting in schools depends on what type of leadership you have. In this state, you've heard me say this a lot when we talk about site-based management. That's huge here, but in a lot of other states, it's centralized leadership. Some of your smaller counties here, it is centralized leadership. But a lot of them, it is site-based management, or at least siloed management, which is elementary management, middle management, and high school management. We've seen that model in Florida. So that should change. That changes how you as a building principal can and will plan for instruction. So there's going to be 3 different types of systems. The other 2 really don't impact you as much as site-based management does. That's the one we need to look at, and that's the one that we need to strongly consider. So most schools, everything comes from central office. They make budgeting decisions, they make the decision, they set the tone, accountability is kept at the district level, and you might not have access to a lot of the information. Basically what you do in this situation is you just sit there and you do what you're told, and there's not much to worry about. That can be good, but there can be challenges with that as well. In management teams, it's highly centralized at the district level, but different people have inputs. This is truly what I've seen in the state, because it's the fact that you're taking it and you're saying this is the middle school team, this is the high school team, this is the elementary school team, these are the academies, and somehow they fit into the picture. This is common here, so a site-based management. So that's really where the money goes and where the funding goes, and what I've at least seen in my experience in this state. So site-based management, we're going to look at it later in the course. That's one of the big ideas of this class. For now, just know that many different schools and many different institutions are trying their best to move to site-based management. That's their focus, and that's what they're trying to do. We're going to look at some of the considerations, what that looks like. We'll cover that in full later on in the course. So site-based management is basically when the staff makes the decisions. They determine what the textbooks are that get used, what the curriculum is that gets used, and what that looks like. They determine the schedule. They manage the extracurricular programs. Anything that's involving parent involvement, citizen community participation, their hands are in that as well. That can be good, that can be bad. So you know in a site-based management system where the money's coming from, where it's going, and really who's the one that's pushing the money. That's a big advantage to this system, because there's complete transparency. Everybody should know what's going on, where they're going to find what they need to find from, and you're going to be the ones that know best what your students need. In environments like this, there's much less turnover because teachers want to stay. Because the decisions are on you, if you do a good job, you tend to stay in your positions too as building leaders. So disadvantages really are similar to the advantages. If you fail, you're going to be looked upon as an idiot to central administration, and that's just the truth. You might have parents and community members that offer too much in terms of support, and that can be equally bad as well, because they're going to start telling you how to do your job. And when that happens, there has to be a line that's drawn in the sand where you say, no, this is my role, this is my duty, and this is what my responsibility is a building leader. When you're hiring personnel, that can be a challenge as well, because you may be able to hire personnel that you think matter for your building, but you also could be forced to take people that don't support what the mission of your building could be. So instructional budgets are the money that's left after the salaries and the benefits and everything that's at the end. I mean, it is the wicked stepsister of the instructional planning, of the whole budgeting system, because it's the stuff that's left. You have to get rid of salary, non-teaching costs, facilities costs, and then you get into the instructional budget. So instructional budget comes from external sources, district revenue sources, and school revenue sources. We're going to look at each one of these very briefly. External sources, we spent pretty much this entire first part of class talking about. These are things like federal aid, state revenue, anything from a taxation or property taxes, and also from local revenue too. So those are going to be your primary external sources. In terms of district sources, this is when the district gets to basically pick and choose where they're sending their money and where it looks like. The challenge with this is the bigger buildings within the district are going to get more money, and especially in this state, the sexier schools are going to get more money too. The schools that are doing STEM, the schools that are doing an arts-based academy that have parent support, they're naturally going to get more money than the other institutions are, so you have to consider that as well. So school revenue is generated at the individual school level. It's things like grants, school-specific activities, fundraising. These are, school revenue sources are so small, they're really not going to be much of an impact on anything that you do. But they're still there, and they're still something that you need to consider as well. So I always suggest doing an environmental scan before you take any position, and understanding the community, understanding the demographics, and understanding really what the district looks like and what the district supports. You really need to know the community, you need to know who the key stakeholders are, and you need to know what the results are that have been consistent in the district. It's why when we're talking about strategic planning for budgeting, you have to know what the last 10 years look like as well. Building level should always be done off of the district, and it's why, once again, in the demographic paper, I had you at least give me a little bit of an overview of the district. I thought that was important, and I thought it was a big idea. So, what are the planning questions that matter at the school level? You have to ask about instructional mission. What are the goal statements? What are the results of environmental scan? How do you spend a school's budget to actually meet the needs and basically honor what you said that you were going to do? And who are the people that you can approach and talk to when you have a budgeting question? And as dumb as that one sounds, that one is a tougher question than you can imagine, because if you're at the top, you might not have many people to go to that have handled that specific scenario. So that's it. This is an easy chapter. This is a quick lecture. The student activities chapter is a lot more intense. I tie this one in because it's simple, because when planning for instruction, you really do what's left over. So if you have any other questions, let me know. This is, like I said, a pretty simple lecture and a pretty simple chapter. Thank you.